I wasn't necessarily going to make this video. Well, actually, I was on the fence about it. But when I saw that interview with the director saying that it was talking about those MJ missions, he was saying that he wants to prove that anybody can be he wants to prove that she could be a capable hero, and if she's OP, he don't give a shit. That just reinforced my idea that Peter is being, disrespected. And I've been saying this for the longest. I said that a lot of the scenes in the first Spider-Man game was forced, but people were saying that I was lying and shit. So since he just said this, you know, going back to when I think that Feast Shelter was on fire and Peter needed help from MJ and Miles, I said that scene was forced. Now I most definitely believe it's forced. And it's not even just that, like, see, as of recently, I noticed a pattern. Ever since, 2018, like, Peter Parker has been disrespected in some way. Like, you know, 2018 game, like, there were signs, but, like, you had to pay very close attention to nose it. And, like, it always been the biggest problem to me that Peter just gets knocked out of City Hall and it forces you to play as Miles Morales. Like, it's things like that. Like, some things you're sure that he can take, and then, like, it's ridiculous, bro. And after that, you get fucking into the Spider-Verse. This lets you know from the get-go, because, Spider-Verse is Peter Parker's story, but they made it a Miles Morales origin story. And what happens to Peter is that he becomes a side character in his own story. And it's not just that he becomes a side character, but Spider Gwen, a character who was originally his love interest, is getting more shine than him. And then if you don't think that's bad, like, wait till after this movie with Across the Spider-Verse. But then you look at No Way, I mean, Far From Home. People want to say that movie gets hated out of nowhere, but one thing to think about is that the hate was already there. It's just the MCU fanboys were doing everything they could to silence it, but you know, you can't do shit like that forever when a person's dislike will not go away. But anyways, Peter was pretty fucking dumb that movie. But we're just gonna leave it at that. That movie was stupid. Anyways, now if you go to No Way Home, see, you could say that Peter wasn't disrespected, but he still was, because I don't think anybody actually watched that movie for Tom Holland. I think mostly everybody watched it for Toby and Andrew. And when, bro, Toby was I even made a video about this back when that movie came out, about how Toby was disrespected. One of the things that always stuck out to me was that, like, when you watch his movies, he's very clearly the best fighter. All this nonsense has shown that he had the best fighter sense, all that. And then the movie is all just gone. Like, the only thing you can get from the character in that movie is an appearance, and that's it. And I will never get over the fact that he turned his back on his villain and got backstabbed. Like, that was so stupid. Like, they were really trying to shock people with that dumb shit. But anyways, forget. And this leads me to, Across the Spider-Verse, which is again another Peter Parker story starring Morales. Spider-Man Extra Time, but starring Miles Morales. And I say starring Miles Morales because he has the exact same motivations and everything as Peter Parker. This is Peter Parker's story, but instead this time it's Miles Morales. And you want to know what happens to Peter Parker in that movie? He don't even get sidelined, bruh. He is the fucking water boy at that point. That's how bad it is now. Like I feel like slowly but surely they're trying to get Peter Parker out of there. That's how I feel about this. And you know, the biggest thing that made me call this out was that interview in the second game. And in the second game, like Peter was not himself. He was such a bitch. Like, oh my gosh. And like, see, I always had see, there were so many situations where Peter was doubting himself. I mean, he does that, but not on this level to where he's saying, why does the city need me when they have you as Spider-Man? Like, what kind of shit is that? And then, you know, you had to go into the number of times he had to be saved by everybody. And I'm sitting here like, bro, Peter is so much more capable than that. They literally nerfed him in his own shit just so that they could push Miles Morales as Spider-Man. Again, in that Miles Morales game, all of a sudden he's getting busted around by Rhino when he literally fought Rhino who had Scorpion's help. He's getting busted around by Rhino. Like, if we can take out these characters, if we take out Miles Morales and you know they want to give MJ some fucking hero time, a lot of these cutscenes wouldn't have went the way that they did. Is what I'm saying. And again, that interview pretty much it told me everything I need to know. They are purposely disrespecting Peter Parker just so that another character can shine. That's what they're doing. And I mean, sure, you can call me a lunatic or whatever, but I'm still right. Like, again, that interview proved me right. I mean, you can say that it didn't always prove me right, but in some points, it very much proved me right. And that's one of the biggest things I hate about the second game because I didn't buy that fucking game to play as Miles Morales. I bought to play as Peter Parker. And for Peter Parker to be disrespected left and right, like the only time he wasn't necessarily disrespected was when he had on the symbiote. And it's not just when he had on the symbiote, but like when he was wearing it, he was like, this is how I can be a great Spider-Man. I'm like, bro, why are you worried about being a better Spider-Man, a great Spider-Man, when you're literally the OG? Like, what the fuck does that mean? And like, as I already been saying, I don't like the direction that they're going with this character, bro. I don't. Like, even when he has a whole power up, he still loses to Venom. Like, I'm not feeling any of this. Like, they're slowly making Peter more of a bitch, bro. And I'm not feeling none of that. Like, another thing you want to look at is like, you know, people hate when you call Miles Morales, but in his game, like that game was nothing but literal slander to Peter. Like it had to, take Peter down to bring Miles up as Spider-Man. And it was so fucking stupid. That's how you know they cannot write it. They focus more on writing unrealistic stories than stories that actually made sense just to elevate another character's status. And then you just wonder, like, why is this character even in this position to have to be elevated? Because obvious reasons. But if you ask me, this is something that I know, like the signs were there. I just didn't really I needed confirmation from the interview. But they're slowly trying to ask Peter Parker. And you know another thing is that like in the Cross of Spider-Verse, like they try to throw Mayday in there to make sure he's permanently on the sideline. And I'm like, you just now throwing the actual legacy character in there. And then you say that, then Peter Parker himself says that Miles was the reason he had her. Like, what kind of shit was that, bro? But I'm done talking about it. Like, You can call me wrong if you want. I don't care. But like I'm just saying, like this is what I'm seeing, so I'm putting it out there. The treatment of Peter Parker in the games, comics, and movies are all come to full circle.